morning. So it's about 7:30 here, which is actually a little later than we thought maybe we'd get started this morning, but still a good time for birding. So we previously talked about birding by sight. So bird feeders are a great way to do that because you can bring the birds out into the open where you can see them really easily. But not all birders like to bird by sight. In fact, the experts that we consulted with for this video, Cheryl and Troy, they really prefer to bird by sound. They like listening to the birds. So today I took you out to watch them in their natural element, listening to some birds. So maybe you guys can explain to me what you're hearing.
This morning we're on some Vilas County forest land here, and looking out into the spot that we're located, it looks like some younger aspen. Certain birds like younger forests. In this case, one of the more common birds we're hearing here is a chestnut-sided warbler, and you can kind of guess what it might look like with a chestnut streak along its side. And it has a very easy to recognize call. It says, "Please, please, pleased to meet ya." One of the other birds we're hearing from a tall red pine tree sounds like a pine warbler. A single note, a little bit more musical, I guess, than some of the other birds that sound just like it.
I'm hearing a bird that's called a white-throated sparrow, and as we've been talking, again, birds are oftentimes named by what they look like. So this bird that I'm hearing has a white throat, and it's a sparrow, so a little brown bird. And that bird sounds like it's saying one of two phrases, depends on who you are. But to me it sounds like it's saying, "Poor Sam Peabody, Peabody." And other people say that it says, "Oh, sweet Canada, Canada, Canada." But I keep hearing it and it's really loud. We can definitely hear it over the other birds that are calling right now. Any forest that we go through, we will hear that bird. It's usually pretty high up in the trees and nice and loud so we can hear it. Sometimes it's so loud that I can't hear other birds. But it is one of those birds that is pretty consistent, especially at this time of the morning. I've also been hearing blue jays off in the distance, whether we can hear and see blue jays in our yard. We see them and hear them on Trees for Tomorrow's campus and out here in the woods too. I hear them as well. They have a variety of sounds as well.
So there's differences between call notes and songs. Call notes are sometimes more difficult to identify because they're much shorter and much simpler. We're hearing the call note of a veery, which is a member of the thrush family. A lot of the thrushes have very complex, very musical calls. The call note, however, is pretty simplistic. But there is a veery. Their actual song is a downward spiraling note or song. You actually hear that veer, 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 veer. The other thing that we were hearing just a couple minutes ago was a mourning warbler. A professional friend of mine thinks it sounds like cheese, cheese, cheese for me. This is like a perfect spot for it. While I was on a property monitoring visit for the Northwoods Land Trust yesterday, I was walking through a aspen clear cut done 2 years ago, and I heard a few mourning warblers in that location as well. And the aspen can be much taller and they'll still be here too. So this is a good spot for mourning warblers as well, which is not a super common bird, so it's kind of neat to hear that one here. All right, so one of the good ways to learn how to identify bird calls, besides just listening to actual CDs, it's really good to pick out some baseline calls so that you can use them for comparison for other birds. Obviously, robins are one of the more common birds that you'll hear, and they actually have a good baseline call. Cheerily, cheer up, cheerily, cheer up. And then you can use that to learn other birds. We heard a very musical robin that never stops. It's really fast paced. Rose-breasted grosbeak comes to mind. Red-eyed vireo. Scarlet tanager, I heard him calling earlier behind us. So yeah, there's many other birds that you can use that baseline theory with.
All right, guys, I'm actually at a different location now. So I left that Forest Service property and headed up to Star Lake to film a different educational video, which will be coming to you soon. And it's interesting to me that in the same morning I hear totally different birds at a different location. So I thought I would try to let you guys hear some of those. So I'm going to pause for a minute, see if you can hear the calls. So I'm going to check with my expert birders because, again, I'm a beginner, but that's okay. The things that I notice right here when I stand in this parking lot at gorgeous Star Lake is that high teasy, 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 which I'm pretty sure is a black and white warbler. Try to remember back to when Troy was talking about using calls in order to learn other calls. And I hear what sounds a whole lot like a robin, except for it's not shutting up. And it's pretty quick and a little bit higher. So I think I'm hearing a rose-breasted grosbeak. So we'll listen for that real quick too. In addition to that, I did not hear yet, but I did see land very close to me in a nearby shrub, a chipping sparrow. So I'm trying to take what the experts taught us and apply it. And one of the things that I used to look it up was this really kind of reddish brown patch on the head. So that cap that Cheryl mentioned. And I was thinking to myself, sparrow, what sparrow, based on the size, would have that cap. And I looked in the books and I think it's a chipping sparrow. Again, I haven't heard his call yet though, so I can't, it just called. Pretty sure it's a chipping sparrow. One of the last birds that I'm hearing today that's pretty exciting, pretty common, that I really wanted to get for you guys is called an oven bird. So they're super loud, and as soon as you hear it, you'll be like, I've heard that before, but now you'll know what it is. So it basically sits in the woods and screams, teacher, 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 teacher. And sometimes it's so loud, birders hate it because it drowns out all of their sounds.
I had a great morning birding because a lot of times when I think of like a jungle, I think of lots of sounds, lush green growth, lots of different animals, but we can be here right here in the North Woods and still experience that same thing. It was so loud with bird songs that it was almost hard to tell one bird from another. And with all the new growth, we're beyond spring, all the trees have leafed out, the ground is wet, lots of growth on the ground. So again, it's like our own rainforest up here in the North Woods. Lots of sounds, lots of different types of animals, and just lush growth. So it was a great experience this morning.
I guess what I was just talking with Bethany about is, to me, a lot of times birding it doesn't have to be just about the birds. It can be about the experience. I think of when a lot of people come up here and they are going to deer camp, they don't even necessarily care that they shoot a deer. They just want to be around friends, and it's tradition. When I first started birding in 7th grade, I think back to all those times where our teacher took us birding with my friends. And the things that I remember are going to Dunkin' Donuts and filling out our bird checklist, going and walking up at this beautiful nature preserve, and going and looking on Port Washington at all the birds there. So yes, I remember some of the birds, but it was the experience that I remember, not the individual birds.
So what he's saying is just get out and try it. It doesn't matter if you know a ton of birds. It doesn't matter if you come back with a huge checklist. It matters if you get out.
Hi, I'm Cheryl, and I'm back here at Trees for Tomorrow's campus in Eagle River. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Trees for Tomorrow is a nonprofit natural resources education specialty school. We were founded in 1944 as a reforestation effort by the pulp and paper industry. Today our focus is on educating the next generation about sustainability and our role as stewards of our natural resources. Funding for Trees for Tomorrow comes from a combination of program fees, corporate sponsorships, grants, and donations from individuals like you. If you found value in today's program, please consider making a donation to Trees for Tomorrow by going to our website and clicking on the Donate Now button in the top right corner. We also encourage you to follow us on social media and share your experiences exploring the outdoors. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.